Something about this moment feels different. Not because of a grand promise or a life-changing secret, but because every meaningful change begins with a simple choice, deciding to pay attention to what matters. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect sign, or the perfect set of circumstances before taking action. Yet more often than not, progress comes from moving forward despite uncertainty. Deep down, most of us carry a quiet sense that we're capable of more than our daily routines suggest. It appears in moments of reflection, during late nights, when thoughts wander beyond unfinished tasks and responsibilities, toward dreams that have been set aside for another day. That feeling isn't a weakness or a flaw. It's a reminder that growth is still possible. The truth is, opportunities rarely arrive with dramatic fanfare. They often appear as small decisions, unexpected conversations, or chances that seem ordinary at first glance. The people who accomplish remarkable things aren't necessarily the most gifted or the luckiest. They're often the ones willing to act before they feel completely ready. While it's easy to become skeptical after hearing countless promises and success stories, genuine transformation doesn't come from motivational slogans. It comes from consistent effort, curiosity, and the courage to take the next step. If there's something you've been postponing, a goal you've been talking yourself out of, or a direction you've wanted to explore, perhaps the real opportunity isn't waiting somewhere in the future. Perhaps it's the decision you make today to start moving toward it. Maybe you clicked this because you wanted a reason to laugh, to prove to yourself that this, too, was just another wild headline, another promise that can't possibly deliver. But listen closer for a second. You're still here, aren't you? That is not an accident. Pause. It's because a tiny voice inside of you, the one you let out only when it's midnight and no one's around, is desperate. Desperate for a sign, a cosmic green light, something big enough to smash through all the cynicism and just say, go. Here it is. Here's the real trick to miracles. They don't ever look like what you expect. They look risky, inconvenient, slightly embarrassing. They look like the thing other people will doubt, the idea your friends will gently mock, the impulse your parents will warn you about. Elon Musk has heard it all. Too wild, too soon, too much. But every single breakthrough, SpaceX, Tesla, even the wild dream of Mars, started as a miracle disguised as a disaster, just waiting to be intercepted by someone who refused to scroll past. He'll tell you right now, if you were standing in front of him, in that dead face, no-nonsense tone of his, miracles are always time-sensitive. The window doesn't stay open just because you wish it would. And right now, for reasons you'll only understand by the end of this, the window is wide open, but it's shaking in the wind, and you have to move before it slams shut. Pause. So let's do something almost nobody on the internet will ask of you. Close your eyes. For the next 5 seconds, let your mind wander. Picture every crazy idea you ever had, the things you wanted to try, the places you wanted to go, the skills you wanted to claim as your own. Picture them not as, maybe someday, but as real, one step away, right behind a door that's cracked open. Now, open your eyes. That's the edge Elon Musk lives on, every single day. The difference between genius and the almosts is not talent. It's just this. He opens the door before it closes. And today, for you, there is a door right here. But you can't just stand in the hallway and think about it. You can't just bookmark this moment for later, or promise yourself you'll come back when you feel more motivated. Miracles don't do later. They're hungry, angular, impatient. They want risk. They demand a step. So pause, again, just for a beat. Notice the choices drifting through your head. You already know the one you want. That dream you buried. That experiment you talked yourself out of. That second chance you quietly beg for in your mind, when no one can hear you mutter. Here comes the contrast. Most people, really, almost everyone, lets these chances die in silence. The miracle doesn't vanish in a storm of rejection, it just fades, gently, unremarked, like an old notification you never bothered to read. And that's how regrets are born. Not with fire, but with a quiet, shivering chill. You don't want to add one more regret to your list, do you? This isn't about sending you into a frenzy of anxiety. It's about waking you up, the way Elon tries to wake up everyone stuck in routines, thinking the next best thing is out there, or for someone else. He's not a magician, but he's become the world's best at finding the place where courage is just a breath away from reward. And now, he's handing that courage to you. For the next few minutes, consider this. Your miracle isn't on layaway. All it's waiting on is for you to notice, to act, to bolt through the door before the lock clicks. The warning is clear. Outcome is not guaranteed except for one certain fact. If you wait, you lose. So stay with me. Breathe. Feel that restless heat. That's not anxiety. That's opportunity, rising as soon as you listen fully. The miracle never comes gift-wrapped. It comes wearing the mask of fear and discomfort. Elon Musk is pointing to the window. Right now, choose or lose. Not just him, not just this message, your entire future. The next chapter is already counting down. You stayed. That alone separates you from nearly everyone else who saw this. Doesn't matter what you're feeling, even if it's doubt, or irritation, or that flicker of, I don't know about all this. You chose to pay real attention, and that is the rarest miracle of all. Almost nobody does it. Let that land for a minute. Really let it settle. We live in a world where people treat their dreams the same way they treat pop-up notifications. Dismiss, dismiss. Deep down, many people recognize that their lives could change, yet they spend years turning away from anything that feels uncertain or unfamiliar. The truth is that comfort can become a powerful trap. It convinces people to stay where they are, even when they dream about something greater, while they talk themselves out of possibilities, telling themselves the timing isn't right, or that success belongs to someone else. Opportunities quietly pass by, yet something keeps pulling at your attention, a small voice suggesting that a different future might be possible if you're willing to step toward it. History is filled with individuals who achieved remarkable things not because they possessed special guarantees, but because they were willing to act when the outcome was unclear. Visionaries, entrepreneurs, and innovators often faced doubt, criticism, and uncertainty long before they earned recognition. Their advantage wasn't perfect confidence. It was their willingness to move forward despite fear. They accepted that growth rarely arrives wrapped in certainty. Think about the opportunity you've been postponing. Perhaps it's a goal you've talked about for years, a project you've never started, or a decision you've been avoiding because the risks seem intimidating. Be honest with yourself about what's holding you back. Too often, people hide behind busy schedules, endless planning, or the belief that a perfect moment will eventually appear. In reality, that ideal moment rarely comes. Progress begins when action replaces hesitation. Meaningful change often feels uncomfortable at first, because it asks you to leave familiar ground behind. The path forward may not be easy, but waiting endlessly for certainty can keep you standing in the same place. Sometimes, the greatest breakthrough begins with a single decision to move forward before you feel completely ready, even when they've been begging for a sign, even when they say, if I only got one more shot, I'd take it. The real shot is what you're experiencing right now, not later, not when you get your confidence up, or a windfall lands in your lap, or someone else believes in you first. Right now, this barely noticeable moment in your life, where you decide to take the next breath just a little differently. The future doesn't swing wide open for most. More likely, it creaks and protests. Most quit the second it gets hard. But those who don't, Those who ignore the thickness of doubt, those who step in when their heart is racing, they're the ones who accidentally discover that miracles shriek through a life like lightning, just long enough for the fearless to reach up and grab them. Let's make this real. Picture the thing you most want. Now imagine it with the door almost closing, the slab of wood moving, the threshold almost gone. Your muscles tense, because you know if you wait, even a second, it's over. That trembling in your chest, that, Musk would call, the edge. It is the place risk and miracle live together, and nobody comfortable ever walks through it. Contrast that with how almost everyone else lives. Waiting for the teacher to call on them, waiting for an invitation, a tap on the shoulder, now is safe. Waiting for the world to grant permission. You know what happens to those people, really. They become spectators to their own lives, watching, scrolling, cursing bad luck, envying miracles that seem to happen to someone else. Pause. That is not going to be you. You're still here, because there's one piece of you, at least, that will not die wandering. That is rare. That is bold. That's where the miracle sucks in its breath and leans closer. You don't need all the answers. You just need to lean in hard enough to commit, to move even in uncertainty. A lot of videos call this a call to action, but that's corny. This isn't about clicking a button or buying a course. Listen for what it really is. Your future tapping on the glass, begging you to notice before it moves on to someone braver. Right now, you know at least one action that would stretch you. Maybe it's finally making that call, applying for that job, showing up for something you've been ducking your whole life. Maybe it's as small as standing up for your own voice in a conversation, or forgiving yourself for failing before, so you can let in the next miracle that comes. Pause. Here's where you have to choose. Ignore the feeling, shrug off the urgency, scroll away, and you'll never know what might have been. But act. Do the thing that scares you, even if it's tiny, even if nobody else notices. That's the magic. That's the miracle. That's the door Musk keeps talking about. The door everybody else misses because they're too busy looking for neon signs. The miracle is always ordinary at first. It's always disguised as a decision you could make, or not. So test yourself now. Are you one of the rare few who gets to the miracle? Or do you add another tally to the column of almost? Right here, right now, you have a power that nobody else can give you. The power to choose discomfort while everyone else picks routine. That's what Elon bets on, every single day, that we, the ones who risk, will define the future while everybody else replays the past. You're almost at the heart of the message. Don't let go now. Breathe, and get ready. This is the middle stretch, the part where most people get restless and want to walk away, where the real value of the message starts to hit you, not in fireworks but in slow, insistent realization. If you're still listening, it means you're not just a tourist here, you're a builder, whether you know it yet or not. Pause. Let that soak in for a moment, because if miracles were fast, cheap, or obvious, everyone would have one. If this was easy, if it was guaranteed, a miracle would lose its very meaning. The thing that makes a miracle isn't lightning. It's your ability to see the flicker and reach for it before it vanishes. Maybe that's why Elon Musk is practically on his knees, as close as a guy like him will get, begging you to notice, because he's watched people miss chances that could have shaped history, all because they were waiting for approval or a roadmap with zero risk. He can't stand the idea you might be next. Let's talk about risk, the word so many people try to dodge, the thing that makes ordinary lives seem so sturdy, but secretly hollow. Musk never learned to love risk. He just learned to tolerate being uncomfortable more than he hated ordinary. That's the recipe for the impossible. A willingness to feel afraid longer than anyone else. Not just once, but 100 times. 1,000 late nights. 1,000,000 decisions everyone else would call crazy, pointless, unreasonable. What stands out in nearly every remarkable success story is that certainty was never part of the equation. Long before achievements became headlines, there were doubts, setbacks, and countless reasons to quit. Whether it's building a groundbreaking company, pursuing an ambitious dream, or creating something people initially dismiss, progress often begins in unfamiliar territory where outcomes are impossible to predict. Those who wait for perfect conditions rarely move far enough to discover what's possible. The results people admire later are usually built on persistence during moments when success seemed least likely. Think about the opportunities you've postponed because the timing didn't feel right, or because the risk appeared too great. More often than not, growth is hidden inside those very moments of hesitation. It isn't waiting inside another carefully crafted plan or buried in endless preparation. It's found in the conversation you've been avoiding, the goal you've repeatedly pushed aside, the challenge that continues to sit at the edge of your comfort zone. Many people choose routines that feel secure and predictable, yet still find themselves wondering why something feels missing. Meaning rarely comes from standing still. It emerges through effort, exploration, and the willingness to take action, even when recognition or rewards aren't guaranteed. History is filled with individuals who faced criticism, skepticism, and repeated obstacles before achieving anything noteworthy. While others focused on their mistakes, they remained focused on moving forward. Now imagine approaching uncertainty differently. Instead of retreating when doubt appears, you treat it as a signal that you're entering new territory. Instead of watching opportunities slip away, you step toward them with determination. Sometimes, the difference between an ordinary outcome and an extraordinary one is simply the decision to keep moving when no one can promise what lies ahead. What changes? What part of your life opens up like a fresh page if you allow yourself to stare down the discomfort, to get a little weird, to admit that normal never got you what you want? Every single ordinary miracle, every new invention, every leap of art, every shift in your relationships, every risky text, every quit, and every beginning happened the same way. One person's refusal to let the miracle slip by without a fight. So, what's your fight? If you can name even one action you've been avoiding, even one, you already know where the edge really is for you. Pause, and let's name the fear, because it's loud, isn't it? What if I mess up? What if it fails? What if I waste my chance and everyone sees? Here's Elon's answer. Who cares what they see? They're not building your future. You are. And the only miracle you'll ever see is the one on the other side of failure. The thing people misunderstand about miracles, they always look like failure right up until the instant they don't. Let's get practical. Let's get small. What can you do in the next hour that your future self would thank you for? Not tomorrow, not next week. Something now that bends the timeline ever so slightly toward the bravest possible version of your life. Maybe it's writing down your first idea. Maybe it's shutting out the noise for half an hour and finally planning the leap. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's just saying, publicly, that you're ready for what comes next, even if your voice shakes. Pause. The difference between the ones who get the miracle and the ones who don't is simple: action. The people who risk being foolish, who act without certainty, whose curiosity is stronger than their comfort zone. They collect the hidden opportunities everyone else overlooks. You, right now, can refuse to settle. You, right now, can decide this is the moment you stop dodging the risk and start betting on yourself. It isn't about waiting for luck or the universe to bless you. It's about showing up again and again, even if the only reward at first is discomfort and growth. And if that sounds too simple, remember, every major shift in history started with an act so small it looked insignificant at the time. Elon's first code, his wild business plan, his first shaky pitch to a room that didn't care. Seeds look like nothing until you give them time, sweat, and the belief that something bigger might emerge. Pause, one last time, before we cross the threshold. You made it this far. Do you feel the difference? The old version of you would have backed away from the tension by now. But you're still leaning in, closer with every breath, closer to your own renewal than you maybe dared to believe. Your miracle may not look like Mars or millions, but it will feel just as powerful, because it means you did not wait for fate, luck, or anyone else to open the door for you. We're at the end of the waiting. The next step is yours. Final stretch now. Let everything else fall away for just a few more moments. No distractions, no interruptions, just you and this invitation. The door still open, the opportunity flickering in the air. You don't get a clear sign like this often. Elon Musk, begging you to wake up and act, not for his sake, but because the miracle you've been quietly hoping for is only real if you meet it halfway. At some point, every meaningful journey arrives at a crossroads where reflection must give way to movement. The future isn't something that simply appears one day. It's shaped by the decisions made in ordinary moments that carry extraordinary potential. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Every person who has transformed their circumstances, achieved something remarkable, or created lasting impact reached a moment when they chose progress over convenience. Throughout history, countless innovators, dreamers, and builders faced uncertainty, yet they moved forward anyway. They recognized that opportunity rarely announces itself twice, and they refused to let hesitation write their story. That same principle has guided many successful individuals, including figures like Elon Musk, who has often spoken about the value of taking risks and acting on ideas before the window of possibility closes. More importantly, he has observed how regret can linger far longer than an unsuccessful attempt. The reason this idea carries such weight is simple. Opportunities are rarely permanent. Moments that can alter the course of a life tend to be temporary, and they often disappear while people are still debating whether to act. Many individuals spend years waiting for certainty, only to discover that certainty never arrives. Yet you've remained engaged with the possibility of change. You've allowed yourself to consider what could be different, even while doubts and fears naturally compete for attention. That willingness to stay open, to keep listening, and to imagine a better path forward is often the first sign that real transformation is already beginning. The miracle is not a gift you passively unwrap. It's a new reality you choose, over and over again, until everyone else finally sees what was possible all along. So, what do you do? Right here, at the threshold, there's only one thing that matters now. You turn this from a message into a movement. Not a movement you broadcast to millions, not a movement that demands perfection, but a movement in your own life. One tiny miracle-sized action that proves this wasn't just another, almost. One risk you take, even if it's messy or half-formed, because you'll remember, years from now, that it happened the night you decided to be someone who steps through the door. Pause. Reflect. Consider all the times you waited before, all the comfort you chose, all the chances that slipped by because you thought you needed another guarantee. Forgive yourself, deeply, for all that fear. It's human. It's normal. It brought you here. But don't keep paying the price of, almost, for the rest of your life. You can change the story now, even if it's inch by inch. See, the world is not changed by the ones who wait. It's shifted, quietly, and then all at once, by the few who bet on themselves without assurance. Elon Musk is not asking you to do something impossible. He is begging you, right here, right now, to do something uncomfortable, to claim a miracle not with wishes, but with the smallest step in its direction. It might feel ridiculous or insignificant, but you will know in your body that you moved, maybe for the first time in years. If you do nothing, if you shut this off, your life will go on, mostly the same, and no one will blame you. The miracle does not wait for blame. It just fades while you look the other way. But if you answer, if you treat today like your only shot, the world begins to bend. It happens quietly at first. Different choices, new energy, unexpected outcomes, but you'll feel it. You'll feel yourself transforming from an observer to a creator of your own luck. Pause and listen closely. You owe yourself that much. Don't let another headline, another Elon Musk video, another someday be the only story you ever collect. Whatever the miracle is, healing something inside you, launching a project, giving yourself permission to rest, or to move, or to try again. It only becomes real if you do the work nobody wants to do. Show up, scared, and take one clear step. Now, let's land here, as honestly as possible. Miracles are rare, but not because they don't exist. They're rare because most people will always choose comfort over change. At this very moment, something has shifted inside you. Perhaps it is subtle, perhaps it is impossible to put into words, but it is there. Through all the distractions, doubts, and demands of everyday life, you have reconnected with a part of yourself that deserves to be heard. You have remembered that your dreams still matter, that your choices still carry weight, and that every new day offers another chance to move forward. Don't allow this realization to become just another passing thought. Turn it into action. It doesn't have to be dramatic or perfect. It could be a conversation you've been postponing, a first step toward a goal you've kept on hold, a sincere apology, a difficult decision, or simply giving an idea the opportunity to grow instead of dismissing it. Meaningful change rarely arrives all at once. It begins with a single decision to move despite uncertainty. Many of the people who have transformed the world understood this simple truth. Progress belongs to those who act when the moment calls for courage. The opportunity before you is not some distant event waiting in the future. It exists right now, in the choice you make next. Trust what you have discovered about yourself today. Hold on to it. Let it guide your next move. Time will continue forward whether you act or not, but the direction of your story is still yours to shape. The next chapter begins with a single step, and deep down, you already know what that step is. The only thing left is to take it.